Miss Lorien, and today, finally, a year and several months late, I am finally doing my ElfQuest series discussion, review, introduction, and why you need to get into this series because I love it! Okay guys, I am so sorry. I have not been around, like, at all. Basically, for those of you who don't follow me on Tumblr, Tumblr is linked down below, my Twitter is linked down below, and those of you who are on my Facebook, that's not open to the public, that's personal. For those of you who aren't aware, my life has gone crazy, all sorts of medical issues, and then I got in a car accident. I broke my right ankle. My left ankle still hasn't recovered. I haven't really been ready to do this, and I tried to film and my left ankle swelled up to the size of a grapefruit mid-filming. I felt pain and I looked down and it was huge. Not kidding. I've dealt with a lot of issues, but I finally have a little script here in my hand, and I'm going to talk about ElfQuest. I love ElfQuest. First of all, thank you guys so much. I have over 200 subscribers. When I disappeared, I had like 100 subscribers. I had like 110, 116, something small like that. I have over 200. There's 200 of you guys. Thank you so much. And every time someone subscribed, I have been like, I need to do this, and I need to keep up my promise to those of you on my Tumblr and to the ElfQuest fan group. I promised to do this. I mean, Richard Peeney, one of the two people who wrote this series, retweeted me. I was like, yeah, I'm totally ready, and I got in a car accident, and then ankle, new car accident, personal losses. I mean, oh, my life has been hell. I mean, my dad just came back from the hospital yesterday. I mean, my life has been nuts, but you guys have kept me strong, and the love of ElfQuest really has. I mean, my collection has quite grown. I have a ton of individual comics down in this cabinet. I don't have shelves down there, I have cabinets. And that one is stuffed full of individual comics, mostly this. Now, for those of you who are like, what am I watching? What is this, what? ElfQuest is the story about this guy, first of all, and then it grew. Back in 1978, Wendy Peeney and her husband Richard decided to go ahead and publish this story called ElfQuest. And it was about this guy named Cutter and his tribe called the Wolf Riders, of whom I am dressed sort of like, because I don't have shirts because I would rather get ElfQuest books than shirts. He is descended from aliens that descended from space way back during the time of Neanderthals and caveman. They killed his ancestors and his people scattered, and they've been stuck on this world of two moons facing the humans. As you can see, these are humans, and he's saving this guy named Redlance here. Well, they originally started with Fantasy Quarterly. They released the first thing that's in here, and it was in terrible condition. It fell apart within a week. I mean, Fantasy Quarterly is infamous for falling apart. It's hard to find because even if you take good care of it, if you breathe wrong, it's gonna fall apart. So they went ahead and self-published, creating Warp Graphics, Wendy and Richard Peeney, and self-published ElfQuest. This is #1. That first group is called The Main Quest. It took off. Originally, it was printed by Warp, then they released these Dawning editions, then it was reprinted by Marvel, then DC, as well as what's called Father Tree Press, and now it's being published currently by Dark Horse. It's pretty much always in print because it's some way or another it's up there. In fact, it is also linked down below. You can read all of it minus the latest stuff called Final Quest. This is Final Quest right here. So other than this, you can read all of it online for free. That is a thing, that's legit. It is on the ElfQuest website. I will link it down below for all of you guys to get into it. Now, how did I get into this? Back in 2001, I was living in Barrio Hollywood. Those of you who know me know this. I grew up in Barrio Hollywood. It's one of the worst places in the Tucson Valley to live. It is a terrible neighborhood. During middle school, however, it was this big push. You know how they say 10% of all adults can't read? Well, let me assure you, I know that because where I grew up, hardly anyone could read. There was a huge chunk of kids who came from parents who were illiterate, and they're illiterate. And so there was this big push on reading. But in my science class even, we had to read, and my science teacher had this, and she had this. And I saw this, number 2, and went, I'm gonna read that. And I actually started on this, and I was about here. And my teacher's like, so-and-so's reading that, and that's not even volume 1. Don't you want to read this and find out how Cutter met his wife, Lita? And I was like, no, I want to read this one. But I loved this cover, and I still love this cover, and it is still my favorite. I love it very much. And to be honest, I'm probably not going to get this signed by Wendy Beanie. I'm going to get this signed if I ever meet her, which won't happen. But I eventually picked this up, and this is all I knew for years. Then I moved out here, and my friend Shane in high school had this, and this, and this, and this in not this edition, but in this edition. There's so many different editions of ElfQuest. Oh man. And so I managed to read up to volume 4, and then I found it online, read all of it online, which took me a long time. So now you're thinking, well, there's so many different editions, almost all but the Dark Horse editions are hard to find. There's like 40 volumes of this stuff, not counting the 2 ElfQuest volumes. And there's novels now. And there's this Art of ElfQuest and Art of the Story. Where the heck do I start? Well, it's actually very simple. You always start with Fire and Flight. You start with the main quest. That's what is in volume 1 of the complete ElfQuest. That is what this is. That is this edition. Marvel started there. DC started there. You always start with Fire and Flight, and you go through what's called the main quest. Nice thing about the complete ElfQuest, about the DC manga, and about the Father Tree Press editions is that they are numbered. So where do you go after you finish Final Quest? Well, you just, basically on the website, you just scroll down. You go down with the main things. There are a few stories. I actually am going to have a post up of my recommended reading order of what made sense to me, and I put it in order as I read it. Once you get to Hidden Years 9.5, which is the cover over here, then Shards starts, and there are 3 storylines. There's ElfQuest New Blood, Shards, and Hidden Years are all going at the same time. They actually tell you on the website to bounce between Shards and Hidden Years, and then I recommend you read New Blood next. Now, if you're wondering, there's so many different editions. Okay, I know how to read it, but I don't really want to read it online. A lot of people don't want to. The easiest way to get your hands on ElfQuest is to go ahead and pick up the complete ElfQuest. This is in all bookstores. This is being published by Dark Horse. It's published in 2014. They're up to volume 3. Volume 4 is coming later this year, and you can just continue onward. However, you are going to want to check out online because only this edition has everything that was ever published from ElfQuest at the time. The only things these are missing is the Discovery, the Searcher and the Sword, which are hard to find, and Final Quest, which is easy to find because it's being published right now. There's ElfQuest, Final Quest Volumes 1 and 2 available right now. Volume 3 is coming later this year as well. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of ElfQuest. What do I love? There are white elves and brown elves, and they don't care different skin tone colors. That's not a thing. However, there are very few black people. That is only in Fire Eye, which has only been published in the Reader's Collection. That's the only black guy because they don't really move around too much around the world. There are elves of various shades and various types. We have mer-elves in the Discovery, and we find out in Final Quest there are elves that look like trees and plants. There's not that much representation. If you're looking for LGBT, and this may be an issue for my LDS peeps, all elves are bisexual, and there are triple groupings. In fact, one thing between Lita and Cutter in this very first volume, it's at the very end. The character of Rayek, Mr. Grumpy Face right here, you can't see this too well, he is in love with Lita. The matriarch of the Sun El Sava mentions, Rayek, why can't you, Cutter, and Lita form a triple? This happens a lot. Dart recognizes a woman who's already with a guy and has a kid with her. There's Pike, Scott, and Krim. They have a child together. Krim has no idea who the father is and doesn't care because the 3 of them are together. There is Dewshine, Scouter, and Tyleet. That's a triple. So that's something that exists, but all elves are also bisexual. Dart prefers men. Mendorf swings both ways. Cutter and Skywise even talk about, that's who this is? Cutter and Skywise even talk about it. The elves are all bisexual, and so it doesn't matter which gender they're attracted to. There are no transgenders among elves, really, but Some of the elves later are shapeshifters and can shape whatever form they want, including non-elf. They can turn human, but we just haven't seen that. That hasn't been explored. So asexuality doesn't really seem to exist. Hey guys, this is being filmed later, that's why I look different. I've been editing and I just remembered that on this list, I wrote down my cons, but I didn't write all of my likes. And one of the things that I really love, you can't really see them, but here in the corner, there is this female elf with brown hair in green and brown slacks, and then there is a red-haired male elf. This is Red Lance and Nightfall. Red Lance and Nightfall flip gender roles. Yeah, she is the warrior, the one who, during the war of this volume, she's the one in armor swinging a big sword killing trolls. He is the go-to babysitter. That's his thing. He is a gardener. Even when things change and get a little darker throughout the series, Red Lance isn't a warrior first. He is the last line of defense, and the fight in this really shows he can't handle fighting, and it's really hard on him what happens in this, which is amazing. This challenges gender roles. It challenges it with Shuna right here. During Shards, whoa, she challenges gender roles, and it shows all the gender roles in different societies. I'm not a fan of Mender's Game, but Mender's Game, which is at the very tail end of Wild Hunt, and then into Mender's Game Unpublished 3 and 4, which are only available online. It's his goal to see what makes humans tick and what he has to do to have sex with one. It's really stupid. I am not a fan of that storyline. However, it talked about the gender roles in that and how the elves don't have gender roles. Not even among the Sun Village. That's not really a thing. Rayek tried to put that on Lita a bit, like she could only do things if he approved, and she's like, you forbid it? Really? Especially with Shuna in this, talking about different cultures and how she's a woman, she's not allowed to do all these things. Well, they don't care. The elves raised her to be different, and it's something else that I really like about ElfQuest. It takes on sexism without any qualms. Let's talk about some of the problems though. First of all, there is rape. That is in Wild Hunt. That's only in Wild Hunt, which is much later. That's after Shards and all that business. So there's quite a few titles in between Wild Hunt, and you don't even have to read Wild Hunt. You can just read Hidden Years, and you can go through Hidden Years. The only thing you need to know for Wild Hunt to continue on to Final Quest. Humans, however, there's abuse in humans and rape. That's a human thing. The elves don't have that. So if you don't want to read about that, you probably shouldn't pick this up. There is sex. In this volume, there is the infamous orgy scene. Sex is something they like, and Jink especially, she has sex all the time, and I don't like Jink. I don't like Rebels. I haven't read Future Quest. I haven't even tried. I just couldn't get into them. And for Jink, it's the sex, and I just don't like the world, the future world. I'm not a huge fan of it. There is sex. There's also nudity. For those of you who know me, I edit my stuff, literally, and I just put stickers. This character, her name is Tamaine, and she doesn't wear clothes, ever. Most of the time it's covered up, but in this bookmark it's not covered up. But I like the bookmark so much, and I love ElfQuest, I just cover it up with a sticky note, and that's basically what I do. I just put little sticky notes. If I'm reading on screen, I can cover it up with my hand. That's something that I prefer to do. For those of you who don't care, you don't care. For those of you who are scandalized, big whoop, it's my bookmark. And for those of you who don't want to read that, don't pick up this series. And there is a little bit of gore, especially in this volume. This is a war. It's not so much in Shards. There's some things that are just gross looking. This character named Winnowill, she's a healer and she can mutate things, and that's a little gross. This is where there's some gore in the fighting. It's not that much. It's nothing like a rated R movie. It's not rated R. It's like PG level, but it does exist. But I love it. I love this story. It's a sci-fi and a fantasy setting, and it starts off with a romance, and then it turns into this grand adventure, and I just love it. And the whole point of the story, the whole point is the elves and family, the tribe surviving the war with the humans that burned the forest to the ground in Volume 1, the war with the trolls, them trying to seize the palace in this. And the reason why they're trying to seize the palace, it's their home, where their family can be. It's all about family, and that's what I love about ElfQuest. and so it's a favorite. Again, my only issues is Jink, Mender's Story, Future Quest, and Rebels. Those are the only 4. I love ElfQuest, and I recommend it to pretty much anyone except young kids. But yeah, there are issues with rape, abuse, sex, nudity, and a little bit of gore. I will put in my blog post my individual ratings, and I will also put the 3 titles that I DNF'd. I read Mender's Story and I don't recommend it. I really love ElfQuest, and there's so much. Again, there's even novels. I haven't touched the novels, least of all these 2 that are about the art of it. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to see more. Thank you so much for subscribing and watching this. And I will be back with more videos. I have several ideas floating around, including my 2016 top 15 or 10 and my 2015 that I never did. Let me know if you guys want to even see that, or if you just want me to write a little blog post blurb about it, and then I can do that. See you guys in the next video. Bye! Okay. Enough awkward posing. Okie dokie. And I fail automatically. Here we go with the bloopers. Not enough to own a shirt. Sadly, I was hoping this would be a shirt. But thank you, Ray! Thank you very much for the poster. I haven't gotten it up because I haven't done much of anything. Because I got in a car accident and got in another one at the turn of the year. Yeah, I'm lame. I know. Things are gonna fall over here. And I didn't even expect to live to see middle school. But I did, and during middle school, I'm still here. That was lame. Ow. I lost my notes. Back here for shorts. There it is. Ah! Stop falling! Ah! These are expensive and they're breakable. Number 4 likes to break, especially. Stay upright. You're not upright. See, they're not all in the greatest condition. There we go. No. Stay! Oh my gosh. With my camera that doesn't work very well. But again, I'm gonna have all of this in a link down in the doobly-doo. My little down in the doobly-doo. The easiest way to get it your hands on. Bleh. But there are elves of various bleh, and they're the matriarch of the sun elves, that's what they're called, I'm sorry, and the non-human, non-human, bleh. There's this woman with brown hair, and this is Red Lance and Nightshade. Nightfall. Moonshade and Nightfall. I actually do that a lot, and that's about it. Even though when things bleh. Yes, the bullets is that it takes on sexuality, which it does. It takes on sexism. That's the word. Get in there. To anyone from UK, sorry about the 2-finger thing. Didn't mean that. Hopefully, I don't need to film more.